Welcome to Family Basics 101. I'm Dr. Bruce McClure, and as we continue our 5-part series entitled Self-Esteem, today we will look at the correlation between self-esteem and self-love. So, what is self-love as it relates to self-esteem? One of the primary needs of mankind is simply to be loved. The primary source of acquiring the love one desires may or may not take place. So when you look at the primary desired sources of love, immediate family, close kin, close friends, that may or may not take place. When an individual does not possess a high self-valuation of themselves, compounded with the deprivation of valuation from others, it oftentimes results in lower self-esteem. On the other hand, when a person has embraced loving themselves in a spiritual, in a psychological, in a physical, wholesome manner, their self-esteem is not as easily damaged by the acceptance or by the rejection from the outside environment, be they kinsmen, be they parents, or be they peers. So, individuals who have the confidence to keep on embracing their positive self in the midst of failures and in the midst of disappointments in life are seen as having what we call self-love, which is actually unconditional positive regard toward themselves. Individuals who are able to be honest with others and also with themselves regarding their underachievements when contrasted to their peers, and yet maintain a positive outlook on the future, are seen as having self-love, which is actually, again, simply unconditional positive regard for themselves. What that simply means is one is able to say to friends or foes, I've fallen short in certain areas. I've not really lived up to my own personal expectations in certain areas. And I'm disappointed in myself about this. And I feel bad about not being able to do this or to accomplish this. However, I am still loving me. I still embrace myself. I still value myself. And that will cause the person not to become overly critical or low self-esteem around others simply because they may have not mastered life as their peers appear to have mastered life. Unconditional love is the act of embracing, accepting, and having a regard for one with their defects, with their struggles, with their uncertainties in terms of their outlooks on today as well as tomorrow. Now, unconditional love, or that agape love, does not just flow from you into the lives of other people. It must or should flow from you into your own personal life with the same actions of embracing yourself, just like you would embrace others who fall short. Accepting yourself, just as you would accept others who have fallen short of their goals or life expectations. Having a positive regard for yourself, even though there are defects, even though there are personal struggles, even though there are uncertainties in terms of the outlook for the future, for today or for tomorrow. Unconditional positive regard is not just what you do toward others. It's not just what you practice toward others, but it is also how you are able to embrace and accept yourself. So self-love actually is crucial for an individual to have a positive self esteem about oneself. In the book of Ephesians chapter 5, beginning at verse number 29, the Apostle Paul is going to write to a church located in one of the most ungodly cities in that region of the country, Ephesus. They had cult prostitutes. They judged people by their prominence in the world, their achievements, how much money they had, how big their businesses were, and all of their self-worth was bundled into the world's measure of accomplishments, the world's measure of family, the world's measure of godliness. And people who didn't measure up according to those ungodly measuring sticks were looked down upon. But these are Christians in that wicked city that Paul is writing to. And he's trying to help them understand how life should be seen. So he says, for no man ever yet hates his own flesh. He says, from the beginning of time until the present writing of this epistle, nobody ever looks down on their nationality. Nobody ever looks down on the color of one's skin. No one is supposed to ever look down on how tall you are personally or how short you are. No one is supposed to look down on himself. That's what the world does. But Paul says, no man ever yet despise, punish, humiliate himself. That's a no-no. He says, but this is what individuals must do for themselves. They must nourish and cherish self. That's a priority to self-esteem, and that is driven by self-love. When a person loves themselves, Paul says they will nourish, they will train, they will tend to self. They will take care of self. They're going to make sure that self is taken care of, not at the expense of others, but in a healthy way. People are going to have a respect for themselves. Secondly, in the text he says, and they will cherish their own body. They're going to cherish the color of their skin. They're going to cherish the tone, the nature of their voice, their dialect. They're not going to try and change it to somebody else's. They're going to be warm toward themselves. They're going to brood over themselves, not in a haughty pride way, but they're going to say, I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of the country I come from. I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of growing up in this sector of the country, and I'm not ashamed to tell people this is who I am. These are my family people, and this is the color of my skin. This is the way I walk. This is the way I talk, and I love me, regardless of my imperfections. I love me, and regardless of my shortcomings in life. A good, healthy self-love toward oneself will also bolster one's self-worth or their self-esteem. And when one has a positive self-esteem toward themselves, they can approach the world in a very loving manner. I'll see you back in class again next time. Don't be late and don't skip class.